Unit 2 Test. Passage 1. Excerpt from The Initial Love in Initial, Demonic, and Celestial Love. By Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson believed that true transcendence was rooted in nature and the liberation of the spirit from the laws of man and the church. In his three-part poem, each segment represents the forces that either liberate or imprison the human spirit. Venus, when her son was lost, cried him up and down the coast, in hamlets, palaces, and parks, and told the truant by his marks, golden curls, and quiver, and bow. This befell long ago. Time and tide are strangely changed, men and manners much deranged. None will now find Cupid latent by this foolish antique patent. He came late along the waste, shod like a traveler for haste, with malice dared me to proclaim him, that the maids and boys might name him. Boy no more, he wears all coats, frocks, and blouses, capes, capotes. He bears no bow, or quiver, or wand, nor chaplet on his head or hand. Leave his weeds and heed his eyes. All the rest he can disguise. In the pit of his eyes a spark would bring back day if it were dark. And if I tell you all my thought, though I comprehend it not, in those unfathomable orbs, every function he absorbs. He doth eat, and drink, and fish, and shoot, and write, and reason, and compute, and ride, and run, and have, and hold, and whine, and flatter, and regret, and kiss, and couple, and beget. By those roving eyeballs bold, undaunted are their courages, right Cossacks in their forages. Fleeter they than any creature. They are his steeds and not his feature. Inquisitive, and fierce, and fasting. Restless, predatory, hasting. And they pounce on other eyes, as lions on their prey. And round their circles is writ, plainer than the day. Underneath, within, above. Love, 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 love. He lives in his eyes. There doth digest, and work, and spin, and buy, and sell, and lose, and win. He rolls them with delighted motion. Joy tides swell their mimic ocean. Yet holds he them with tortoised rein, that they may seize and entertain the glance that to their glance opposes, like fiery honey sucked from roses. He palmistry can understand, imbibing virtue by his hand, as if it were a living root. The pulse of hands will make him mute. With all his force he gathers bombs into those wise thrilling palms. Cupid is a casuist, a mystic, and a Kabbalist. Can your lurking thought surprise and interpret your device? Mainly versed in occult science, in magic, and in clairvoyance. Oft he keeps his fine ear strained, and reason on her tiptoe pained, for airy intelligence, and for strange coincidence. But it touches his quick heart, when fate by omens takes his part, and chance dropped hints from nature's sphere deeply soothe his anxious ear. Heralds high before him run. He has ushers many a one, spreads his welcome where he goes, and touches all things with his rose. All things wait for and divine him. How shall I dare to malign him, or accuse the god of sport? I must end my true report, painting him from head to foot, in as far as I took note, trusting well the matchless power of this young-eyed emperor will clear his fame from every cloud. With the bards, and with the crowd, he is willful, mutable, shy, untamed, inscrutable, swifter fashioned than the fairies, substance mixed of pure contraries. His vice some elder virtue's token, and his good is evil spoken, failing sometimes of his own. He is headstrong and alone. He affects the wood and wild, like a flower-hunting child, buries himself in summer waves, in trees, with beasts, in mines, and caves. Loves nature like a horned cow, bird, or deer, or caribou. Shun him, nymphs, on the fleet horses. He has a total world of wit. Oh, how wise are his discourses! But he is the arch-hypocrite. And through all science and all art, seeks alone his counterpart. He is a pundit of the East. He is an augur and a priest. And his soul will melt in prayer. But word and wisdom are a snare, corrupted by the present toy. He follows joy, and only joy. There is no mask but he will wear. He invented oaths to swear. He paints, he carves, he chants, he prays, and holds all stars in his embrace. Godlike, but 'tis for his fine pelf, the social quintessence of self. Well, said I, he is hypocrite, and folly the end of his subtle wit. He takes a sovereign privilege, not allowed to any leech, for he does go behind all law, and right into himself does draw, for he is sovereignly allied. Heaven's oldest blood flows in his side, and interchangeably at one, with every king on every throne, that no god dare say him nay, or see the fault, or scene betray. He has the muses by the heart, and the Parsi all are of his part. His many signs cannot be told. He has not one mode, but manifold, many fashions and addresses, piques, reproaches, hurts, caresses, action, service, badinage. He will preach like a friar, and jump like harlequin. He will read like a crier, and fight like a paladin. Boundless is his memory, plans immense his term prolong. He is not of counted age, meaning always to be young, and his wish is intimacy, intimater intimacy, and a stricter privacy. The impossible shall yet be done, and being two shall still be one. As the wave breaks to foam on shelves, then runs into a wave again, so lovers melt their sundered selves, yet melted would be twain. Question 1, 3 points. What is the connotative meaning of the phrase corrupted by the present toy? A. Demanding excessive attention. B. Easily made dishonest. C. Easily distracted by the lasted new thing. Question 2, 3 points. What is the connotative meaning of wears all coats in this line from the poem? Boy no more, he wears all coats. A. Cupid is easily recognized. B. Cupid can appear in many forms. C. Cupid's behavior has changed over time. Question 3, 3 points. Which lines most effectively use imagery in describing Cupid's power to develop an admiring tone? A. In the pit of his eyes a spark would bring back day if it were dark. B. Venus, when her son was lost, cried him up and down the coast. C. Time and tide are strangely changed, men and manners much deranged. Question 4, 3 points. What does the imagery in these lines convey about Cupid's character? He spreads his welcome where he goes, and touches all things with his rose. A. Cupid is loyal and protective of those he considers to be friends. B. Cupid is playful and uses humor to appeal to others. C. Cupid is charming and tries to positively affect everyone he encounters. Question 5, 3 points. How does the image of Cupid's eyes rolling like ocean tides in these lines affect the meaning of this poem? He rolls them with delighted motion. Joy tides swell their mimic ocean. A. It shows that love can bring pain as well as happiness. B. It implies that love is an exciting natural force. C. It emphasizes that love can happen anywhere. Passage 2. From Innocents Abroad, by Mark Twain. Mark Twain's best-selling travel book documented his travels across Europe aboard the USS Quaker City in 1867. Chapter 12 records his 500-mile train ride through France, We have come 500 miles by rail through the heart of France. What a bewitching land it is. What a garden. Surely the leagues of bright green lawns are swept and brushed and watered every day and their grasses trimmed by the barber. Surely the hedges are shaped and measured and their symmetry preserved by the most architectural of gardeners. Surely the long straight rows of stately poplars that divide the beautiful landscape like the squares of a checkerboard are set with line and plummet, and their uniform height determined with a spirit level. Surely the straight, smooth, pure white turnpikes are jack-planed and sandpapered every day. How else are these marvels of symmetry, cleanliness, and order attained? It is wonderful. There are no unsightly stone walls and never a fence of any kind. There is no dirt, no decay, no rubbish anywhere, nothing that even hints at untidiness, nothing that ever suggests neglect. All is orderly and beautiful, everything is charming to the eye. Question 6, 3 points. What is the author's purpose for writing this passage? A. To persuade readers to compare customs in France and America. B. To entertain readers about gardening. C. To inform readers of the French countryside. Question 7, 3 points. What does the symbol of the garden represent? A. A popular place filled with foreign tourists. B. An idyllic place of beauty and order. C. An untamed space with little development. Question 8, 3 points. How does the imagery in this excerpt affect the meaning? A. It makes the French countryside seem like a magical, unspoiled place. B. It proves that Twain is a reliable observer. C. It connects the French landscape with other landscapes on Earth. Passage 3. Excerpt from Clarence Darrow's closing argument in Illinois v. Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, August 22 to 25, 1924. In 1924, Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb were convicted of killing a 14-year-old neighbor boy. Leopold and Loeb were in their late teens, came from wealthy families, and attended college. They wanted to commit the perfect crime. Attorney Clarence Darrow, a lifetime opponent of the death penalty, was their defense attorney. If these two boys die on the scaffold, which I can never even yet bring myself to imagine, if they do die on the scaffold, the details of this will be spread over the world. Every newspaper in the United States will carry a full account. Every newspaper of Chicago will be filled with the gruesome details. It will enter every home and every family. Will it make men better or make men worse? Would it harden the heart of man or would it soften it? How many men would be colder and crueler for it? Do I need to argue to your honor that cruelty only makes cruelty, that hatred only causes hatred, that if there is any way to soften this human heart, which is hard enough at its best, if there is any way to kill evil and hatred and all that goes with it, it is not through evil and hatred and cruelty, it is through charity and love and understanding? Question 9, 3 points. How does the use of charged language, such as hatred, love, cruelty, and charity, advance the speaker's purpose of convincing the judge to give a lighter sentence? A. It puts pressure on the judge to make the decision that is morally right. B. It shows that the speaker is an honorable person to whom the judge should pay attention. C. It suggests that even though the criminals did wrong, they are not evil at heart. Question 10, 3 points. Based on this excerpt, what is the speaker's viewpoint on the person who committed the crime? A. He is a good person underneath. B. He is brilliant but evil. C. He is mentally ill. Question 11, 3 points. How does the use of repetition in this excerpt advance the speaker's viewpoint? A. It underlines the idea that the boys were not thinking as adults when planning the crime. B. It creates mental pictures of the boys as innocent and harmless. C. It makes clear that the boys were not aware that their actions were criminal. Passage 4. Excerpt from Here is New York. By E. B. White. There are roughly 3 New Yorks. There is, first, the New York of the man or woman who was born here, who takes the city for granted and accepts its size and its turbulence as natural and inevitable. Second, there is the New York of the commuter, the city that is devoured by locusts each day and spat out each night. Third, there is the New York of the person who was born somewhere else and came to New York in quest of something. Of these 3 trembling cities, the greatest is the last, the city of final destination, the city that is a goal. It is this third city that accounts for New York's high-strung disposition, its poetical deportment, its dedication to the arts, and its incomparable achievements. Commuters give the city its tidal restlessness, natives give it solidity and continuity, but settlers give it passion. And whether it is a farmer arriving from Italy to set up a small grocery store in a slum, or a young girl arriving from a small town in Mississippi to escape the indignity of being observed by her neighbors, or a boy arriving from the Corn Belt with a manuscript in his suitcase and a pain in his heart, it makes no difference. Each embraces New York with the intense excitement of first love, each absorbs New York with the fresh yes of an adventurer, each generates heat and light to dwarf the Consolidated Edison Company. The commuter is the queerest bird of all. The suburb he inhabits has no essential vitality of its own and is a mere roost where he comes at day's end to go to sleep. Except in rare cases, the man who lives in Mamaroneck or Little Neck or Teaneck, and works in New York, discovers nothing much about the city except the time of arrival and departure of trains and buses, and the path to a quick lunch. He is desk-bound, and has never, idly roaming in the gloaming, stumbled suddenly on Belvedere Tower in the park, see the ramparts rise sheer from the water of the pond, and the boys along the shore fishing for minnows, girls stretched out negligently on the shelves of the rocks. He has never come suddenly on anything at all in New York as a loiterer, because he has had no time between trains. He has fished in Manhattan's wallet and dug out coins, but has never listened to Manhattan's breathing, never awakened to its morning, never dropped off to sleep in its night. About 400,000 men and women come charging onto the island each weekday morning, out of the mouths of tubes and tunnels. Not many among them have ever spent a drowsy afternoon in the great rustling oaken silence of the reading room of the public library, with the book elevator, like an old water wheel, spewing out books onto the trays. They tend their furnaces in Westchester and in Jersey, but have never seen the furnaces of the Bowery, the fires that burn in oil drums on 0 winter nights. They may work in the financial district downtown and never see the extravagant plantings of Rockefeller Center, the daffodils and grape hyacinths and birches and the flags trimmed to the wind on a fine morning in spring. Or they may work in a midtown office and may let a whole year swing round without sighting Governor's Island from the sea wall. The commuter dies with tremendous mileage to his credit, but he is no rover. His entrances and exits are more devious than those in a prairie dog village, and he calmly plays bridge while buried in the mud at the bottom of the East River. The Long Island Railroad alone carried 40 million commuters last year, but many of them were the same fellow retracing his steps. The terrain of New York is such that a resident sometimes travels farther, in the end, than a commuter. Irving Berlin's journey from Cherry Street in the Lower East Side to an apartment uptown was through an alley and was only 3 or 4 miles in length, but it was like going 3 times around the world. Question 12, 3 points. Reread this quotation from the passage. Each embraces New York with the intense excitement of first love, each absorbs New York with the fresh yes of an adventurer, each generates heat and light to dwarf the Consolidated Edison Company. How does the hyperbole toward those who choose to settle in New York City affect the mood of the essay? A. It expresses a romantic mood. B. It gives the essay an energetic mood. C. It shows an uneasy mood. Question 13, 3 points. Which quotation from the essay helps to create a hopeful tone in Here is New York? A. Irving Berlin's journey from the Lower East Side was like going 3 times around the world. B. It is this third city that accounts for New York's high-strung disposition, its poetical deportment, its dedication to the arts, and its incomparable achievements. C. a boy arriving from the Corn Belt with a manuscript in his suitcase and a pain in his heart. Question 14, 3 points. Read this sentence. He has fished in Manhattan's wallet and dug out coins, but has never listened to Manhattan's breathing, never awakened to its morning, never dropped off to sleep in its night. How does the personification in the words Manhattan's breathing affect the passage? A. It explains how noisy New York can be at night. B. It describes the crowded conditions that exist in the city. C. It creates the feeling that New York is a living being. Question 15, 3 points. Read this sentence from the passage. Second, there is the New York of the commuter, the city that is devoured by locusts each day and spat out each night. What is the effect of the author's choice of devoured rather than eaten in this sentence? A. It more closely represents the inundation, an overwhelming abundance of people, of commuters coming to the city. B. It more clearly describes how commuters absorb the city when they come to work. C. It better suggests how insects look when they are eating. Question 16, 3 points. What does the word misspoke most likely mean in this sentence? Under cross-examination, the defendant admitted that he misspoke about where he was on the evening of the crime. A. The defendant forgot where he was. B. The defendant lied. C. The defendant made a grammatical error. Question 17, 3 points. What is the meaning of the oxymoron courageous retreat in this excerpt? The firefighters were stuck. They had given all they could to prevent the fire from spreading, but they were having little success. And the fire was closing in around them. To avoid possible casualties, the firefighters made a courageous retreat out of harm's way. A. Although the two words are opposites, together they convey the idea that the firefighters' decision to retreat is justified. B. Although the two words are opposites, together they convey the idea that the firefighters acted selfishly. C. Because the two words are opposites, together they emphasize the idea that the firefighters are cowards. Question 18, 9 points. Would you like some completion points? Yes.